Just the facts, Larry. And again, this is going to sound like bright spots, and maybe we're looking for some bright spots here, but here are the facts. The 49ers defense recorded its first safety since 2018. Even that sort of comes with an asterisk because, boy, that back judge got trucked by Lamar. I mean, that's just an awkward situation for him to be in. Lamar trips over an official for the 49ers' first safety since 2018. Once again, this defense held an opposing offense without a 100-yard rusher. That's 42 straight games. That's the second longest streak in the NFL in 23 years. That's good. One of the more embarrassing stats I think you can attach to any single NFL team. Larry, did you know that the Chicago Bears have never had a 4,000-yard passer? Never. In their franchise's history, they've never had one.
They've won a Super Bowl with Jim McMahon, and that's the high water mark. I mean, I can think of, Cade McNown and all these guys. There
was a minute there that Tom Willis thought that he was going to be the answer to all things. And Jim Harbaugh remains one of the best quarterbacks. Jay Cutler is statistically one of the best quarterbacks and let's not talk about Craig Krenzel and his mechanical engineering major out of Ohio State, for goodness sakes. Anyway.
Brian Bashnagel, or no, he meant I've been a quarterback, but I remember he was a Bear name from the past.
So the Chicago Bears have never had a 4,000-yard passer. Now, it feels like for many people in football history, the 49ers basically reinvented the modern pass, the West Coast offense, and you had all those great quarterbacks, Montana and Young. Guess what? In the history of the 49ers, Brock Purdy last night became only the third 4,000-yard passer in franchise history.
Wow.
And Joe Montana is not one of them. It's Steve Young and Jeff Garcia. Now, Jimmy Garoppolo, he got close in 2019. He was 22 yards shy of a 4,000-yard season. But Purdy should finish this season with the most passing yards in a single season in franchise history. He needs 120 passing yards to pass Steve Young for second and 228 over his next two games to pass Jeff Garcia for first on the all-time list. So as bad as a night as it was for Brock Purdy, he is still having a season that will probably have left him as the number one single season passing leader in 49ers franchise history. If you want to say, well, he gets an extra game to do that, you're correct. That is happening as well. Purdy's 4,050 passing yards, the third most ever by a 49ers quarterback in a single season. And George Kittle, who had a really good first quarter last night, he had 91 receiving yards at the end of the first quarter. He finished with 126. It's the 17th game of George Kittle's career with more than 100 receiving yards. That ties him for third on the franchise's all-time did you have 100 yards receiving list. Terrell Owens is in front of him with 25, and Jerry Rice has 66 such games. But, I mean, yeah.
66 games.
66 games. And second place is T.O. with 25.
Wow.
But Kittle is now third place all to himself with 17. George Kittle has had a prolific career with the 49ers. He truly has. He can disappear at times. He can be evaluated as a blocker as much as a pass catcher, and he's right to be evaluated as such because he's outstanding at that. But George Kittle is having a hell of a career for the 49ers. Again, there are facts that are bright spots when you look at the entirety of the season that we're looking at, but it's hard to extract any bright spots from a game in which the Niners turned the ball over 5 times. They got beat in all 3 phases, which sounds like an outcoached game, yet they still outpassed, out-averaged yards per played, outran this team. I mean, without 5 turnovers, the 49ers win that game last night, Larry, which is the dumbest, most empty statement you could possibly say, but it's the truth. Without 5 turnovers, I think the Niners would have won last night, but they turned the ball over 5 times. So,
by the way, here's another stat that needs to be in Just the Facts. According to NFL Next Gen stats, Baltimore's defense combined for 39 pressures.
That ain't good.
39 pressures, resulting in 4 sacks of Purdy and Darnold. Clowney himself, you mentioned Clowney, he had 7 by himself.
That's 39 pressures on 46 overall dropbacks from the Niners quarterback last night. I mean, so you're telling me there's, just a handful of clean pockets all night long? That's not
Niners
good.
O-line got whipped. Let's be honest. We can talk about we really need to say that. The Niner O-line, whether it was before the injuries even happened, the Niner O-line got whipped.
They were getting worked. And Matabuke was just pushing dudes.
Yeah.
He's
fast.
really, really good. Larry, I see that you have a long drive ahead of you this afternoon, which means it's probably time for us to hop into some of the chats and the super chats that you've starred and reserved for this part of the show. Let me also say this. If the Niners came in with a wrong game plan last night, or a game plan that you didn't like, Larry, and they abandoned the run too quickly, I'm not going to argue with you. Todd Monken, who is the offensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens, who was a guy who was calling offensive plays for Georgia and Kirby Smart for the last couple of years. I'm not going to say it was like a coming out party for him, but the Ravens did offensively what they needed to do to win that game. And I thought he called a really good game, and he used his chess piece that is Lamar Jackson in a perfect way. So very good night for the Ravens. No denying it. Very bad night for the 49ers, and there's no denying that. They still could be the 1 seed, and there's no denying that either. So there you go. Those are the facts. Those are the facts of a crap football game played by the Niners on Christmas.
There you go. Merry Christmas, everybody. It was, and the unfortunate thing, it was a beautiful day. People were having a great time in the parking lot. Said hi to a lot of Niner fans in the parking lot. People were getting it in the parking lot. There were people tailgating all day, and it was a beautiful sunny day. It was a wonderful Christmas morning. We had a great Christmas Eve, and then just dog meat game. Yeah. Just a dog meat game. Yeah. This one makes me laugh too. With words of wisdom, without 5 turnovers, 49ers win. He says equals if my ex didn't cheat on you, she'd been faithful.
I'm not going to argue with you. Look, it felt stupid coming out of my mouth. It did. It felt stupid coming out of my mouth, but I said it anyways because I also believe there's some truth to it. Just like she would have been faithful had she not cheated on you. That would have been true had the event not happened. What a weird night from a scoring standpoint. You want some weird scorigamis in this one?
Yeah.
Larry, it was 2-0, 5-0, 5-3, 10-5, 13-5, 13-12, 16-12, 23-12. 18 seconds later, it's 30-12, 33-12, 33-19. Those are, if you had weird boxes going on, you weird boxes won last night. And what box did you have checked off on your if that's the way you gambled through that game with a group of people?
If there was one thing that I wanted to see in that game that I didn't see, obviously, other than the obvious no turnovers and a different outcome, if just looking into the box and looking at the way the game was played, the ball distribution and how many runs, how many passes, who got the ball, who touched it. Deebo Samuel had 2 carries. I would have loved in this game for Deebo Samuel to have 12.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I would have loved to see the 49ers instead of 46 passes and what was it, 46 passes and 18 runs. It would have been nice if you mixed in 10 more runs and 10 fewer passes. I mean, obviously they had to play from behind at the end, and so you got to throw the ball. They had to throw the ball. That had a lot to do with it. But if there was one thing I wanted to see more of, I wanted to see Deebo with the ball in his hands running the ball at this Ravens D, and we just didn't see it.